spirit of accelerating innovation, where do you start? Well, we think you start by thinking about how you lead. Leadership matters, and that concept, that theme has been woven into every conversation that you have had throughout this entire conference. Innovation requires all of us to lead different. McKinsey did a study, a global study, and they interviewed executives in finance, and they asked, is innovation critical to your success in the future? And guess what you answered? You could talk to me. Yes, yes. And then they came back with, we believe it is critical to our success in the future, but we admit we're slow adopters. And then McKinsey said, okay, well what? If you think about the big picture here, what drives innovation in organizations? And you know what the executives said? They said 3 primary drivers in most every organization. Ratan Tata didn't just drive through the streets of India on a normal afternoon monsoon. Does it every single day. On this particular day, for some reason, he was called upon to notice something that happens before him all the time. And he didn't just notice, then he committed, and then he got totally involved in trying to fix it, trying to innovate a solution around that tragedy that happens a lot. What does noticing look like? Noticing only happens when you do more than just commit. Noticing happens when you get involved. I was doing an event for another healthcare institution in San Diego, and you know, they were talking about patient experiences. And the chief of staff was on stage, and he said, I got to tell you about a very unfortunate customer letter that I got. And what he described is, he described a patient who was in the hallway looking for the pharmacy, and he saw someone in scrubs, and that patient said, I'm confused, I can't find the pharmacy. And the person in scrubs said, oh, it's right down there and around the corner. And then that patient said, you know what, that's funny. Because if I was at Vons, my local grocery store, they would have escorted me to the pharmacy. The deal here is we can't just point, we can't just benchmark other healthcare institutions. Our patients are coming to us with experiences that they have in the grocery store, at the car dealership, at the gas station, at McDonald's.
This is a real joy for me to introduce to you Jackie Freiberg, because I consider Jackie a soulmate. You know, you look at the media, and they all want to pick out bad news stories about business, and they don't pick out any good news stories. And Jackie and her husband Kevin and all, and Marge and I and all, we've been looking for good news stories. And their first big book was nuts about Southwest Airlines, and become great friends with Herb and Colleen. In fact, she's on the culture committee, which is probably the most important committee in Southwest to make sure that they continue managing according to their values and the way they operate. And then they wrote a book called Guts, which looked at a whole bunch of different successful companies and what made them that. And then Boom, about the secrets of great leaders. And then this last book, and she's going to talk about Innovate or Perish, is titled NANOVATION, and they wrote it about the little car that they built in India with actually a guy that went to Cornell with Margie and I, Ratan Tata, and incredible innovation and values, again, led leader. And so there's not many better people in the world than Jackie, and she and her husband Kevin work together, so you're in for a real treat with my soulmate Jackie.
Thank you. So what Ratan Tata did is he commissioned a young design team, average age 28, and they did it. They nanovated. They created a car that is not an apology car, but is a safe, all-weather form of transportation. They realized the vision. They embraced the vision. They got in it. They led through so many challenges, so many naysayers, and they ultimately disrupted the automotive industry. We have dedicated our careers to looking at, to studying, to recognizing best places where the best people can do their best work to make the world better. That's a huge outcome. I want you to know that I've done my homework. I had a lot of time on the phone with a number of you. I literally had phone calls lined up on my agenda like airplanes on a runway. And I learned a lot. My journey started in graduate school. So my doctoral dissertation, I'm going to study leadership. And you know what? I started with one of the best companies in the world, Southwest Airlines. But what I will tell you is I did not study him. And he is a phenomenal leader. Let me introduce you to him. This is Herb Kelleher, the chairman emeritus and the founder of Southwest Airlines. My husband studied him in his dissertation and claimed that Herb Kelleher is a transformational leader, and I believe he is. But as I was watching that study unfold, I realized we needed to do more for leadership, because I don't believe in my head and I don't believe in my heart that leadership is about a white guy that sits at the top of a corporate pyramid.
When you can find a way to overlap what you're really good at, what you love to do, what you're passionate about with what needs to get done at work, boom, alive, engaged, passionate, committed, loyal, on fire.
You might go back tomorrow and you might go, hey, got these great ideas. And you know what we want, you know, you're all fired up and you tell them this is what we're going to do different, and you try and engage them in the enthusiasm that hopefully you've gained. And they're going to listen and they're going to be good. And then you know what they're going to do? They're going to wait for you to leave. And then they're all going to look at each other and they're going to go, just give it a couple days. This always happens. If we give them a couple days, it'll go away and they'll get stuck back in the grind. Don't let that happen. Now, Kevin and I call those people dead people working. And Ken is famous for calling those people, or saying they have quit, but they stay, right? Well, if 75-ish% of the population is disengaged, quit but stayed, dead people working, then are they really your most valuable assets? This is Diesel. He's an English bulldog. How many of you are dog lovers? How many of you, I have to ask this question, aren't? There's always a few of us in the room. I'm not a dog lover, and my husband convinced me that the family needed a dog. We're an extremely active family. Did we get the right dog? What are bulldogs known for? I need a dog I can run with. Diesel couldn't run. Change begins with you. You won't change the world. You won't change Switzerland. You won't change your company until you change you. So the question that I ask you is this: how big is your piece of society? If Ratan Tata's piece of society is India, if Herb Kelleher's was Texas and then it grew to the United States and then it grew globally, how big is your piece of society? What questions are you willing to ask yourself and then your team to help you create and inspire change? And what's fascinating about that is if you look at the most innovative companies in the world today, what you will find and what you will discover is the leaders in those most innovative companies are involved. They're not just committed to it. Years and years ago, I used to run the Center for Quality and Productivity at the University of San Diego. And we'd host executive sessions where we'd invite in the executives who ran the companies all over the San Diego County area, and we'd talk to them about the importance. Quality was the obsession back then. We'd talk to them about the importance of quality. And those executives, they'd say, yeah, we're committed to quality. And then they'd go back to their organizations and they'd go to the people in the quality assurance department and say, do it! Bring quality to our organization. That's commitment. And what we'd tell them back then, 20 or so years ago, is we'd say, it won't work. It just won't work. If you simply commit to quality, it is not good enough. You have to get involved in the quality movement as well. And that's true for culture, that's true for engagement, and that's so very true for innovation. We've got to get away from the mindset that says that innovation happens at an innovation center, because that's what that group does. Innovation happens off-site because we can think ever so clearly over there. That's not what innovation is.